Welcome to Hear Me Out and Pass the Scissors, a podcast where two long-distance scrapbooking friends talk creativity, chaos, and cutting things up on purpose. I'm Lisa from Life and Layouts on YouTube.
And I'm Nicole from Being. Whether you're scrapbooking at your desk, your kitchen table, or just in your head, grab your scissors and hear us out.
Right, welcome back. Today's topic is credit where credit is due. So we're going to jump right in and talk about giving credit in our videos. And then we're also going to talk about how we've seen other people give credit, whether it's their videos or maybe blog post or on Facebook or other social media platforms. So why does it matter? Why do we need to give credit?
Well, for starters, one of my favorite topics is scraplifting. So I'm excited to talk about it today. And I feel like it's one of those things that unless you kind of grew up online and was like chronically online and you got into like the online creative space, these are some things that you may not be aware of. And it always kind of reminds me of like if you've never gone bowling and you go bowling and somebody yells at you because you just approach the lane and get ready to go and they're like, no, you can't, like if somebody's there, you can't cross the line, like it's an etiquette thing, it's a whatever, and you're like, I've never heard this. And I feel like it comes up a lot in online craft spaces as far as linking and giving credit.
I think that I agree, absolutely, it's with etiquette. And I think when you cross over into a content creator, there are rules that you didn't know about. I feel like if I was just Susie Smith over here creating layouts and no one ever saw them except for my family, it really doesn't matter because my family has no idea who, Allison Davis is.
Right. I think it's once you cross the line into the internet and now you're sharing something that you made on the internet, I feel like there's this responsibility factor of tracking back if you lifted it, if you were like heavily inspired by something, if it was a sketch, if it was something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, everything I do is a sketch. I do not have a creative bone in my body.
Yes, you do.
I feel like I have the creativity to, once you give me a starting point, I can go and I can make creative things. But if you were to give me two pieces of white 12 by 12 cardstock and even a collection and say, make something, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
Now I know what I'm going to challenge you with next, but I think you could. And I say that because I know you have a particular style of sketch that you like. And I feel like at this point you could do that on your own. But I get it because I'm like 90% like I want a sketch because I want the time saver aspect of it. And then like 10% I'll have like this is what I want to do.
I will say that the most recent layout that I did with the scrap room, the one where it was using Echo Park's summer break, I think, that's all me. There's no sketch.
See, and I saw it. It was amazing. That's what I'm saying. Like you have a type of sketch that you like and you gravitate towards, and they can start to look a little similar. So it's kind of like you're picking different elements from past sketches unconsciously and putting it in there. Before we get too deep, I do just want to say we are not the be-all end-all Lord making the laws when it comes to scrapbook etiquette. I think we're just sharing today things that we've learned along the way, things that we see when we're like experiencing the internet. And then I think like you were talking about earlier, like once you cross into kind of creating content and sharing online, you start to see like different facets of just what goes with sharing online.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you give credit on your videos, in social media posts, where you use sketches?
For me, I feel like I use the description box on my videos to try to house everything so that then if I'm writing up like a paragraph to then go share it in like a scrapbooking Facebook group, and I'll say like, here's the link to the video if you want details, hoping that then when somebody goes and watches the video, if I did it correctly, they've got everything that they could possibly need to find in that description box, whether it's usually if it's a new collection or it's still available, I try to put links to the product. If I've used a sketch, whether it was free or paid for, I try to go back and find it, link it so that they can find it. If I've mentioned like something of my own or like your photo templates are going to come up in a video soon, like I try to link back to either my video, your video, where you can find it in Etsy or whatnot. Anything I could possibly think of, I will try to put it in there. Because as a viewer, I am somebody very much, I want to just put it there. I'll find it myself. Please don't make me come ask you. Because then I just feel like, oh God, I'm bugging them. So I try to put anything and everything I can think of in the description box without it being like, I'm going to list the collection. I'm not going to list each separate die cut pack and sticker pack and stuff like that. I feel like that's a personal preference. If you just want to see the collection, here's a link to it. You're on your own from there.
I feel like I'm very similar. I am not a reader, and we've had that conversation a lot because you definitely go and do other things and read books, and I'm like, yeah, that's not, I'm never going to do that. I don't enjoy reading. I usually talk about it in my videos, and then I will also link it because for me, I remember when I first learned about Pinterest, one of the things that I hated most was people would link directly to a page that was a general page. So let's say that person said, oh, I got this stuff at scrapbook.com, and they would link it directly to scrapbook.com as opposed to linking it directly to the product. So then I would have to get to that page and then find it on that page.
Yeah, I think Pinterest is one of those things where if you kind of used it, say 10 years ago, even up till now, you kind of know that what you're seeing on the app isn't really the information. It's just the pretty window dressing of the information. And you actually need to click on the picture or look and see if the person has a link in the description. But usually if you click on the picture, it will ask you if you want to leave the app and go where that information lives on the internet.
Right.
In a sense, the source.
And sometimes that source, let's say it was a blog, because they would do this as well. They would link directly to their blog, which as a content creator, we all know that we have those information that we have on every single video that it's just already there for us, like we're our defaults. And so they have put their blog as the default. But now it's 2 years later and I'm looking at this image and it takes me directly to their blog, not to that specific blog post.
Well, that's on the content creator. That's them choosing to use the blog as a whole versus the specific post. So like if I have to list a blog for like Tracy Reed or Simple Stories or something, I will go in, find my specific blog posts and get the link for my post instead of just the entire blog, because I know somebody's going to get frustrated if I'm like, hey, if you don't want to watch the video and you'd rather read it, here's a link. And then if they don't see it for 2 weeks, they're going to go to the blog. My layout's not going to be the one at the top. And now they're scrolling and they're annoyed.
Right. And I think that goes back to the fact that what you're saying about us being the etiquette police. We are not.
No,
not at all. But things that like are a pet peeve to me, that is one of those things. If I am looking for something, I want to be taken. I want you to spoon feed it to me.
Yeah, basically anything that I find annoying, I will sort of try to implement that into my own sharing online of like, no, don't go to the whole blog. Here's my specific post.
Right.
And then from there, if you want to go back to the blog homepage, you want to check out the other design team members, you're on your own at that point. I got you here.
Mm-hmm.
You can now roam and do what you want.
And I think what I find very interesting about that is that going back to our last episode about dumpster fire and spreadsheets, there are things where we have very different ways of handling our channels. And then we have things that are exactly the same. And this is one of those things where
I feel like if anything, I'm a big stickler for crediting where you found something. And like I try to ask people to reciprocate that, because I think once you cross into making videos and sharing how you made something, you're inviting people to remake it, to follow it, to take bits and pieces of it, make it their own. I want to see that. If you don't tag me or you don't show me or you don't link me, I can't find it to be like, yes, I love this.
Yeah. And there's times where, I have scrap lifted people and my layout has turned out completely different. And then there's times where I've scrap lifted people like you and my beach layout, and it is the exact same layout.
Yeah, I've done like complete scrap lifts down to like I started out being like, oh, I like this as a whole, and then somewhere along the way my brain took a turn and was like, oh, what if we do this, or what if we do this? There was the inspiration point, but I'm still going to credit that person. I'm still going to link to either their video, their Instagram. I'm still going to be like, I got this from them. And then I'm also going to do my best to try to tag them so that they see it as well. And it kind of continues that like ripple effect.
So on that note, let's talk about free versus paid. And I think we're both on the same page of this, but I want to ask, do you give credit to free content that's out there?
Yeah, to me, it's not any different. The only difference is if I took dollars out of my wallet and I paid for them, I'm not going to show them in a video. I've had a couple of people call me out on that in like prep videos. And if you actually like look, I'm not showing the full sketch. A lot of times it will be like a sketch in like a page protector and it will look like this. This is the same thing that you can get from the sample image in the store. Like you could probably kind of figure out what this is, but you're working harder than you need to be. I still respect, like, if it's paid content, I will say it's paid content. I will cover up part of it and hope for the best.
And I think that going back to being a content creator, and even at the price point that we price things, my Canva templates, for example, I feel like these things are dirt cheap. But there's still things that I took time to create. And also I have to obviously house it on Etsy, and I'm still like, I have to pay fees every single time that somebody buys it. It's that same mentality of when I'm thinking about purchasing other items, or even when I see free items. I was thinking about this when I was planning out these notes. There are times when I'll go in and see layouts in some of the Facebook groups, and I'll send a private message to that person and I'm like, I'm very inspired by this. You shared it. They're not even content creators. Can I scraplift you? And then I will put that in another folder to be able to scraplift months down the line, because how that works with content.
I feel like I'm a little different in that I won't reach out to somebody and say, can I scraplift it? Because I'm of the belief if you put it out on the internet, it's up for grabs. Not in the sense to be like, oh, I'm going to steal it or I'm going to copy it. It's more of like, you loved your end result enough to share it with others on the internet. I love it enough to be like, hey, let me make some changes. Let me work this into my style. Like, thank you for the inspiration. And then once I have my end result is usually when I will say like, inspired by this person, or I'll link this post. Or years and years and years ago, I scraplifted a layout from Jen Gallagher at 2Ps. And after the fact, I like messaged her and sent her a link to my video. And I was just like, hey, thank you. I've learned from your videos and stuff. I really like this layout. Here was my interpretation of it. She actually replied and said like, thank you or whatever. But at that time, that was the only way I knew how to like let her know that I had done it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had made a video, I wanted somehow that credit to go back to her. Like in my description, I had linked to her video. I was inspired by her channel, her blog, all that I could possibly link. But no, I don't ask first. I just get inspired, and then I will just make sure that I kind of cover all my bases to be like, this is who made it, or this is where I found it, and hope that if we are not connected in these communities, that they'll see it or something.
Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, the reason I ask is it gives me a way to track it on my end in regards to like, I have it somewhere.
That goes back to your like needing to track.
Yeah. And be organized. And these are my, all my plans. So in that, how do you store your sketches or your ideas, your scrap lifts? How do you keep your paid content from your free content, specifically for us because we're content creators? But how do you keep those separate?
Well, they are just in Google Drive, labeled whatever made sense that day. I do have like classes I've printed out because I feel like those, for me, I need to be like more hands-on, less digital with stuff like that. And then I don't have like a rhyme to my reason. Sometimes I will just pull stuff up digitally through Drive. Sometimes if there's like 3 or 4 sketches in a 10 or 20 pack that are catching my attention, I'll print them, and they're literally scattered all over my desk right now. I don't feel bad about printing them because of the boyfriend and because they're on Google Drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel this need to like have this printed out library of sketches and maintain that. That would never work for
Mhm.
me. The ones that make it into a binder are typically large projects, if that makes sense. Like I think we both did. Allison Davis had it was the 4x6 one that had a lot of content. The 6x6 classes that she's dropped had a lot of content, stuff that I know I'm going to work through and has like additional information besides just the sketch. I'll go ahead and like be responsible and like put it in a
Mhm.
binder. But 100% I am not like you. I have been better about, you sent me like a spreadsheet and you're like, hey, you should put your sketches on here so that at least you can compare them to the store and stop making double purchases. And I have been trying to keep up with that. But I 100% know this sounds bad. I know that I could pull this and I could say, hey, do you have this? Does this look familiar to you? And within 10 minutes, you would be like, yes, it's this sketch bundle. It's blah, blah, blah.
Mhm. So this is a question that I've wanted to ask you for a while now. That sketch that you just had, it came from a bundle or whatever, and you printed it out, I'm assuming for a layout that you're going to be working on soon. After you're done with the layout, does that go in the trash?
Um, no, usually, so like this is a newer bundle. So I printed them, but I do print them double-sided. I've kind of gotten away from bothering with page protectors anymore. Usually, if one sparks my interest and there's 10 of them sitting here, I'll kind of try to see if I can throw two or three at one time. Um, and they kind of just end up in like I have a binder right now that has like there was 1 page, 2 page water sketches, 1 page, 2 page sunburst sketches. You know, Allison has my favorite sketches. So I have a binder that has like a lot of newer ones that I've been printing and I've been pulling a couple here from to remind myself to go back. But I've also been known to sit here with you for like 45 minutes scrolling sketches because nothing is in the mood. And I would rather do that digitally.
All right. Well, I know you're going to be extremely surprised about this, but I have a video that tells me how I store my sketches.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. So I don't when somebody asks a question, if it's something that I know it's going to be a repeatable question, like I know that I'm going to get this often, I'd rather create a video for it. Spend the 20 minutes doing it.
Do you want to know what I call that in my brain? I don't know if I've told you this. It's the life and layouts Wikipedia to me.
Yeah, that's
These you've got like 40 videos that like somebody asks you something, you're like, I'll be right back.
yes. So for that one, and I have thought about updating it because it was more focused on how I store my sketches and my photos, and like the spreadsheet was kind of thrown in at the very end because I had just started using the spreadsheet. But I was thinking about redoing it and with my updated version of my spreadsheet and the obviously how I store my photos and how I store my sketches. Everything's on Google Drive. And everything is broken down by paid sketches versus free sketches. And then inside those folders, it's based on the number of photos. Because even if I only have, let's say I have 6 photos, I'm going to start to look at the 6 photo sketches. I'm going to go over to the 5 and the 7 photo sketches because I really make
Mm-hmm.
those work. But that's where I'm going to start. And having them all over the place, it doesn't matter where the bundle is or what the process was or what technique was being used.
See, and I think that's like I tend to go mood based, and you're over here like I know exactly how many photos, so I'm gonna go numbers because I'm like, hey, I'm either throwing a photo away or I'm gonna print 2 little ones and I'm gonna make it work. I need the overall mood needs to fit, and that's when I get into these like nothing's catching my eye. Let me scroll, but the just the itemize like blows my mind. But then at the same time, I don't separate. I feel like, well, my drive folder might. I know like the SCT ones are separate and sketch support is
Mhm.
separate, but I keep the additional PDF that's purchased with the free. I just know in my mind, SCT is free, sketch support is free. There's usually NSD sketches that are free. Like I just know in my mind which ones are
Mhm.
free.
Yeah. And see, I like my mind doesn't work that way at all.
I I mean, I can't tell you the names of the people in the book I'm reading today, but I know which sketches are free.
So yeah, so I will I do have a video for that, and I often have videos for everything. We are going to move into scraplifting respectfully. And I think we've kind of talked a little bit about it. Yeah, but let's talk about the difference between inspiration and copying. And we talked a little bit about this, but when you flat out copy, like I copied your beach layout.
I was about to say that was
Yeah.
beautiful.
So how do you feel about copying other people? And then how do you feel when people copy you? Because there's been a couple times where people have said, "Oh, I've been inspired by your layout," and I look at it and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's definitely it. You took inspiration from me, but you went hard left, and I love the way that it turned out." I don't know that I've ever had anybody flat out copy me.
Um, I mean, anytime somebody says, one, I was inspired enough to touch paper, I'm proud. Two, if you're telling me that I inspired you enough to be anywhere in the realm of similar to what I made, I am impressed. If you have done what you did and you were counting lines on paper in order to, and I've been there, I've been there, I am blown away and a little bit of like, me? Really? But like, I get it because I've done it with other people's layouts. It just always goes back to like, please tag me. Please, even if you're not sharing videos or Instagram, send me a message or comment on the post that I made in the Facebook group that you originally saw. Come back to it and leave me a comment and show me. Recently, I had a simple stories layout that I didn't use a sketch for, didn't have a plan for, kind of threw it together. Two separate people reached out to me and said that they scraplifted it. And I was like, that's amazing. Let me see it. One was like super close. I think they used the same collection. And one, they just kind of took the overall like wonky strips and like the three sections. But it was still two people that took the same content, were inspired by it, and then did varying levels of what they wanted to do with it. And I was just thankful that they came back and showed it to me. You know what I mean? And like, you share your stuff hoping that it reaches as many people as possible, but you're not always in the same social circles as everybody else that's on the
Right.
internet. So anytime like you get that ripple effect, you're like, one, not only am I thankful that you were inspired by it, but now I'm thankful that you're tagging me in it and people that are in your ripple are going to possibly touch my ripple and it's going to kind of expand.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I think that, we're in a lot of Facebook groups, scrapbooking Facebook groups, and I'll see layouts where I can see where that could possibly be taken from inspiration that I did or somebody else that I know. But I don't have any proof and they didn't tag anybody.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, well, maybe they used the same sketch, or maybe you lifted something and you were both inspired. Like, there's so many similarities and there's only so many ways you could do something. But yeah, I've had instances where I'm like, did they
Mhm.
lift me? Because if they did, like, heck yeah, like, tag me so that I
Yeah.
would have seen it. But sometimes you just don't know. And then it goes back to that etiquette thing where if they don't know that it's okay to tag. Like, I feel like some people think that scraplifting is somehow cheating, and then therefore telling the person that they were inspired by that they were inspired is somehow like rude. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Mm-mm.
no, no. We want to see.
Yeah. Because I think, like you said, we are content creators and we put it out there because we're hoping that, hundreds and hundreds of people see it, right? But at the end of the day, when you come back and say that you were inspired by me for whatever reason, the little Lisa inside of me, the little first grader who was like hoping to have friends and new in the school, and like that friend came up to me and was like, "I like
Yeah,
your
they
friend,
like
they
me.
like me, they like my content, they like." So that little burst of joy.
I think it also helps because when you share online, it feels very one sided. I think groups can feel a little bit less one sided because there is the comment section and you can kind of chat and be like, thanks for, somebody will say, like, oh, I saw your video. It was great. Thank you for watching my video.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like, when you just put stuff out there, you don't like it's so one-sided. You kind of feel like you're just yelling into a hallway. So then when somebody else like sends you a message or tags you and says like, "Hey, I loved this. This is what I made." You're just like screaming like, "Yes." Like,
And that goes back too as well. Like there are times where, and we've had this conversation a lot about how I feel like I'm repeating myself in videos. I'll say the same thing. I'll say that these are the techniques I use, the same thing over and over again. And it's because regardless of how many times I've said it, the one video I don't say it in, then I get the question about,
yeah, you never know who's new here.
right. And so when you come back and say that you watched my video and you were inspired by it, whatever part of it inspired you, it's like, okay, people are listening. And like you said,
Yeah.
talking to yourself, you're not talking down on
Yeah.
one's listening.
It's kind of like, you think about people that are out here making movies and TV shows and stuff, and then somebody takes the time out to go type a review on IMDb. It's like, thank you.
Oh. So regardless of whether you're a small content creator or, you're like movie star.
So let me ask you this. What do you think? So we've been talking about etiquette. What do you think someone should do if they don't remember where they saw their source? They don't remember if it was a layout, a sketch, a video, class. They don't remember where they saw it, and they don't have like a Pinterest board, or they didn't save it. They didn't screenshot it. It wasn't watermarked. What should they do?
Okay, so I feel like that's one of those things where it's hard as a content creator because I wouldn't ever use inspiration that I didn't have credit for. But I can understand for somebody who's like maybe newer and they're just starting out, maybe they've created a layout and maybe they're doing a layout share to say, here's all the layouts that I did before I even created my tool.
Because I feel like if you're not sharing your own stuff, whether it's scrap lifts, classes, page kit, whatever, if you're not sharing it, it doesn't really matter. You're just putting it in your albums, you're enjoying it, you're being inspired, you're learning from other people. I feel like I'll see sometimes in Facebook groups, it'll say like, I scrap lifted this, but then they don't say like, where did they scrap lift it? Because my question is always, what's the original source? Like, I want to see that too. I want to go support them too. And you ask, and sometimes it's like, oh, I don't remember. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we could word it better. Like, if you think that you may have been the source, like, thank you, comment down below so that like people, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to navigate if somebody doesn't remember where they got the original source from.
Yeah, I think
there's so much out there.
But I also feel like as groups, especially scrapbooking groups, because there's so much content, if you don't remember, there's probably somebody in the group who does remember. Or maybe even the content creator is like, hey, that kind of looks like my layout, and maybe sharing their layout, or, messaging the person privately and say, hey, was this the layout that you scrap lifted? Or even, I don't remember who the person was, but I do know that it was a beach layout and they used simple stories, just beachy, or, those types of things. You might not remember all the details, but things that you could remember that would maybe jog other people's memory.
Yeah, even if you kind of know where you get most of your, like, some people are more like they'll scroll Instagram and like screenshot stuff or use the save feature. Some people will do YouTube and they'll save videos. Did you know that you can look up your channel and you can see who has playlists with your videos?
So we've had this conversation before, and it works for you because yours is...
Oh, I have a unique name.
Whereas mine has the word layouts in it. So when you look up that,
Try
it's like...
no spaces.
Yeah, just like one word.
Yeah. Because I think your channel name has no spaces on like the embedded. The first time I figured that out, I was confused, flattered, and then terrified for like a minute. And then I was like, you know what? No, I put it out there. If somebody wants to save it to a playlist to come back to, because that has to be what it's for. Yes.
Yeah.
Take it. Enjoy it. But let me know when you're done.
Because I think after we had that conversation, I was like, well, then I need to create my own playlist for people to watch. And
then you took off onto like, I don't know how many playlists you have. You asked me the other day if I had a playlist for something, and I was like, no, give me 15 minutes.
I think it was for, was it die cutting?
Die cutting, or yeah.
Die cutting scenes. It was scene building. And I was like, how do you not have one for scene building?
No, I had one for scene building. It was die cutting. And
okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. So, and then using that, because, when you say stuff to me, it usually ends up down a rabbit hole on some type of YouTube search platform. And what I found out was by creating those playlists, what you're doing is if you push people to those playlists, that gives you more watch hours because one, if they're enjoying your content, and for me, let's say they want more Disney content, well, I'm going to give you every single Disney video that I
Yeah, the autoplay will be all of your stuff because it's in a playlist.
right. And so if you want to see my content, just go to my playlist. And there are a ton of them. And then you have quite a few that you have started creating playlists as well.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like how many is too many, but then at the same time, I'm like, I'm kind of all over with what I use. So like it kind of makes sense, but then I don't know.
Then you come over to mine and you were like, yeah, I'm nowhere near that. So go create more. All right. So yeah, I do agree. We talked a little bit about this, about the ripple effect, about how crediting can actually send new followers or customers to the original content creator.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big part of it is, especially when there's new content creators out, I'm always willing to go and watch their videos because one, I want to encourage other content creators to bring things out because that gives me more stuff to watch. And
Yep.
then if I'm inspired by them for whatever reason, I want to give them credit, but I also want to push people to their channel because if they like me and I was inspired by that person, then more than likely they're also going to possibly like that person as well because whatever resonated with me and wanting me to scraplift them is probably what resonated.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it not only layouts too, sometimes even just like tutorials or like templates and stuff. I looked up my own channel name. I was looking for, I think when I was doing that playlist for you. And as I'm scrolling about 5 months back, I see a video that's not mine, but I'm like, why is it coming up? And I clicked on her video and I looked at the description. She had linked my journal strip template and tagged me, but I never got the notification. So it was nice to see that she was basically sharing that what she was using for her journal templates, she learned from me and she was linking back to my tutorials so that somebody that had questions could go back to the original source. And then she had doubled down and tagged me. And I like immediately ran to the comments and I was like, I don't know how I never saw this, but oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
And like, good job, because watching other people use something that you made out in the wild is like, it's like better than a scrap lift. I don't know how to explain it. You're just like, yes.
Yeah. Makes your heart happy dance.
Yes, they like me. No.
Yes, exactly. And I think with that as well, it goes back to the ability to contact people and why you started your Facebook group and then eventually why I started my Facebook group because YouTube doesn't really allow for communication back and forth.
Yeah, it's like if you're not, I don't know how to say it. Like YouTube's pretty user friendly, but even I don't see notifications sometimes. So if it doesn't notify the person that you've replied to, they may never realize that you replied to their comment and either gave them the answer that they were looking for. Plus, I kind of personally find Facebook faster to answer somebody because it can easily be something I can just take a picture of and be like, oh yeah, it's this. Or yeah, let me grab a link to the specific thing that they saw like in the background or something. Like it's just a little bit easier and it makes it less one-sided.
Yeah. So when I started my channel, again, all the research that I did, one of the big things that they said was you also need an email account that's specific to your YouTube channel. So I have a lifeandlayouts@gmail.com.
I never did that. There was no research. My channel was born from the soul of Scraplift of I am inspired by these videos. Can I do this? Let's figure it out. There was no research done. There was
yeah, and
look at me now.
but having the email address has helped a lot because anything that's related to my channel, whether it's purchasing stuff digitally, goes to that. And, now that I have the LLC, it makes it just flows very nicely.
The only thing I wish I had done was made a separate Facebook profile that I could talk as my channel and not my personal profile, because this is going to sound awful. If you've ever sent me a friend request, I probably didn't approve it, or I just left it in the request folder because I don't approve like online scrappy type friend. I just don't. It's like personal. It's like pictures of my kids and like what's currently going on,
Right.
and just internet safety. Like I just don't. And I wish I had made, like, Sarah Scraps has like her channel name, and her Facebook is, the first time she sent me like a for real professional email, I was like, you have a last name? Like I was like, ew, what is this? And I wish like 10 years ago that I had done that,
Hmm.
because it's confusing to be commenting first and last name on stuff, and then my channel is this like weird version of that.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm the same way. I don't accept friend requests as well for the same reason. I use Facebook as a in the moment journaling of what's going on. So there are lots of detailed information, and my friend list is very small. And quite often, I would say probably twice a year, I go through my friend list and like, yeah, we don't talk anymore, so you're out, because I do share a lot
Yeah.
of information so that I can have it later when I am sitting
Yes.
down. Yeah. So, all right. So using stock photos.
Oh, this one's all you, and I've been waiting all day for this because I think I've only used stock photos like a couple times, but you heavily rely on resources with like Disney photography, Google, whatnot. What's your take on, I guess, the etiquette of using stock photos?
Okay, so let's first start out with why I started using stock photos, because it's probably been within maybe the last 2 years that I have gone down that path. And it came about with Disney photos. I was taking photos, I think, at one of the festivals, and I was like, oh, these topiary, I think it was the Flower and Garden. These topiaries are beautiful, and I was taking photos. Obviously, I'm just carrying my phone. I don't carry my big camera into Disney. And my photos were crappy. Even by editing them in Lightroom, they were still not that great. So I went searching for photos, and I was like, oh, Disney does these photos very well. And I'm sure that they are not using a cell phone camera. And so that's when I started. And from there, I started looking for things. And there's actually two Facebook groups that are Disney enthusiasts who are also photographer enthusiasts. And so one of them is an actual big camera. So they don't have any restrictions on it. It just has to be an actual camera. Most of them are digital SLRs. And then they also have a mobile version where people, because with the phones today, you can take some pretty amazing photos if you slow down,
Yep.
take the time to do it, and then obviously are editing some of them in Lightroom and things like that. And so when I found those two Facebook groups, I was like, well, I don't have to take photos ever again when I'm at Disney. Which then,
But I feel like that like makes it, I think, a little easier that you can then either link back to that Facebook group, or you can link back to that like photographer's page and stuff.
Mhm.
I feel like anytime I've ever used stock photos, it's usually like when we did the TV show, the favorite TV show one, I was like, I got them from Google.
Yeah.
I have no idea where like who this belongs to, but I feel like if it lives on Google Images and it doesn't have a watermark, that's all I have.
Right. Well, for that one, I think I pulled up Internet Movie Database.
Yeah, and I think I would say maybe a handful of times I think I've gone looking for like a specific concert that we went to, of like, I just want like one decent size or decent picture because we were like either so far back or something.
Uh-huh.
But even then, a lot of times, unless I find the person's like Instagram profile, I have no idea who took this picture and how many times it's been shared to other outlets by the time I've found it
Right.
through Google.
Yeah. It's like the Pinterest thing where it's not linked back directly, which if it was the etiquette was used, we would be able to.
I feel like stock photos and like Google Photos is kind of where you can like leave etiquette at the door. I think you're a little different when you got access to like photographers that are doing such a niche topic.
Yeah. And all of those photographers do watermark their photos, and I leave those watermarks on there. So in my album, it is
Mhm.
very known that those are not my photos. They're, whoever.
I did not know that, and I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've looked that close.
And most of the watermarks are grayscale, and you probably aren't going to be able to see them in the video.
Mhm.
And probably when I'm taking the photos, I'm like not showing exactly that angle for you to be able to see it, but it is there. And I always credit in the description as well where I got those, because those ability to take those types of photos is well beyond my ability to take photos.
I mean, it's like anything. You practice, you learn, you take classes. Like I used to do a little bit of family photography on the side, and when you're in it, you're good at it.
Mhm.
And it's like anything else. When you stop for a while, you kind of lose the
Yeah.
muscle memory of being like really, really good at it.
Mhm.
Now I kind of just do my kids for certain events, but
Yeah. And that's when I get into a groove of things. Like I feel like I am better at taking my own photos. So like my detailed shots and things like that, because I have done it, for a while now, and I'm starting to play more in the room and listening to you about what types of photos are being seen by certain designers and stuff.
listen, I throw stuff at the wall. It sticks. Sometimes it works. And I study and I've learned some things and I share the things that I learn with my friends online.
Yes.
Did I tell you why I stopped printing out of my house to Walmart?
Mm-mm.
One of the reasons was I would go pick up my photos and they wouldn't give them to me because they wanted the photographer's print release. And I'm like, I took those. They're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, ma'am, that is my child. I took my camera. It is on my Facebook. Like, what do you want? What, you want the SD card? Like, what? And I got so mad that I was like, this isn't worth it.
Which I find it completely opposite now, because I think when digital SLRs came out, so we're talking mid 2000s, right? 2005, 2006, when they became popular and affordable. Like you could get
Yes.
a entry level digital SLR for $600, right? It became, and even on auto feature, not using the actual everything else, you could get really good prints. And I
Yeah.
remember I was taking photos like that and I got the same issue. However, now we're in 2025 and I'm printing flat out Disney photos. I mean, this is Mickey Mouse on the castle stage and I get nothing. They don't say anything to me.
Yeah, the one of the other issues I had run into was like back then I was doing a lot of the scrapbook generation kits and I would edit my photos exactly where they needed to go, exactly the sizes that they needed to be, and I needed a 5x5 photo. So I edited it as a 5x5. This was my bad. I should have just left it uncropped and had it printed as a 5x7. But I am me and I don't think like that sometimes. I cropped it as a 5x5, put it on a blank 5x7 canvas so it has the white edges, sent it to print. I go pick it up and this woman is stressed. I'm like, what is your problem? And she's like, I've stretched it. I've done this. I've done that. And I'm like, if you would just let the printer print what I sent, that's what I want. And she's like, no, it isn't. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm out. I'll come back another time.
I remember one time when I was first starting to use Project Life and I was putting 2 photos on a 4x6 and even 4 photos on a 4x6. And I went in there and I had printed probably 100 photos because I was stockpiling a bunch of them. And she came out and she was like, I don't know why they are printing multiple photos on the same 4x6.
I told it to.
Yeah. She's like, this just doesn't make any sense. So you can have these photos for free because this just isn't. And I was like, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Because I'm not
Are
going to
you
tell
here next
you
week too?
that's what I sent over. Especially back then when 100 photos was, you know,
Yeah, because I would go pick up 100, 200 photos because, like, they were like 8 cents a piece at Walmart or something, and it was 1 hour. So
yeah.
I could literally, like, go pick them. And after a couple times of being like, no, those are my photos. Those are the sizes I want them to be. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. So a lot of the photos that I do use go back to having better photos, but also sometimes I'm in the moment and I'm enjoying things, especially at Disney. And I don't think to take those detailed shots, like the layout that I just did with Eli's first time on Rock and Roller Coaster. I have the stock photo that we have on the ride. I have the photo that we took by the cast member before we went into the area where the bride is, and that was it. And I was like, I want a 2-page layout, which I know that we have very different opinions on that. Because I also do
That's
want
a topic for another day. How to single or double, and how'd you get to that decision?
So I want those photos of us, right? But I also want all
Yeah.
those detailed shots because I think that goes back to the Apple test, which that's another topic as well, where if I don't have a photo of it, I'm not going to remember it. And so those iconic images that are at Rock and Roller Coaster is going to change within the next year, right? When they re-theme it to Muppets.
I was gonna say, I feel like with Disney being so niche, I feel like using the stock photos, you're gonna have less people in the background because those photographers are probably there during different times. And then you like to like double down on your journaling with some of these things where you go into like the history of the ride, why it was made, who designed it, all this stuff. And those stock photos kind of support that deeper
Mhm.
dive than we rode the ride. I'm over here making the layout that says we rode the ride.
Yeah.
And it's a single page because I had 2 photos and I'm moving on.
Yeah. So I do think that because of that niche, and I do enjoy the history of uh, just Disney's history, which on another topic, and this is a side note real quick, but there's apparently this new dating app that's supposed to be coming out. It's called Single Riders. And the guy is on TikTok and he's like, it's in development. And so he asked, the last post that he made was like, what do you want the filters to be in regards to like these Disney things? And somebody said, I need it to be, what type of Disney person are you? Are you a ride person? Are you just like go to eat? Or are you there to find out all about the history and you want to know why the brick is red? And I was like, I need that filter. And
You're
that
gonna
is
you're gonna end up with somebody that as long as you hand them corn dog, they're just gonna follow you around while you go learn about stuff. And as long as there's corn dog on that stick, he's good. You're gonna have to hand him a churro because the thing's not done.
exactly. So yes, I am that person. I want to know all of the details about the history and currently what's going on at Disney and why we're changing things and what's going on with that.
Why do people get so not aggressive, but like why do people get offended when they don't get notified or credited when you scrap lift them? And why is it such an etiquette issue?
And I think going back to what you said at the beginning of the hour, we're not the credit police at all. And that's not what we're trying to do.
Mm-mm.
I think,
I just want to see.
yeah, I think it's more
Show me,
of
please.
that to, I want my heart to smile because you found me and you, for whatever reason, thought that my layout was great enough to scrap lift. I had somebody recently, the beach layout.
That beach layout, by the way, I was reading the comments on your thing. People were loving it. And I was like, do they know?
Somebody posted on there that they scrap lifted it and made like that day. They had posted early in the morning and commented on it.
Well, that's like a double jump. Can you send them? Can you be like, hey, go tell tell Nicole because she wants to
because
see
I
it
think
too.
I even messaged you and was like, "Hey, there's some really great comments."
I was gonna say I went to the I went to the comments and I think I replied to a couple of people. I didn't see any photos
Yeah,
though.
no, she didn't.
So
The woman that I'm talking about didn't send me a photo or anything, but she later came back
oh,
and
okay.
commented that said, actually, I think she might have commented in the Facebook group. I was so inspired by this, I've already made a layout with it. Yeah, and like same day, I was like,
Wow.
holy cow. Because I know that it took me a year to scrap lift you.
And I was surprised that you chose to do a scrap lift during Sarah Scrap's like celebratory hop because it was just kind of like, talk about like your favorite things and then like basically like funnel support to her and like put, spotlight on her. And I was like, you're over here scrap
Yeah,
lifting me?
because you're one of my favorite things.
That's so
That's one of
nice.
my favorite things. I think I even put it in the video.
Plus, I feel like people that I love and I'm like, they're just good people. I'm always like, hey, have you met Lisa? Or hey, have you met Sarah? hey, do you know this person? Go talk amongst yourselves.
So I was actually at a crop this past weekend, and the girl that I was sitting with, I hadn't we've known each other years and years ago, but I hadn't really connected with her in several years. Just life got in the way, and we just hadn't had a chance to connect. And so the entire time I talked you up because I was like, "Do you know Nicole? Like, have you seen her videos?" And she's like, "No, I don't know who she is." I was like, "I need to send you her videos because if you like my content, you're gonna love her content."
I think that's a good example of, yeah, because we've talked about before, like how a lot of times when you go to a crop, the people that go to crops, they're not chronically online like we are.
Uh-uh.
They've never heard of people that like we obsess about. They don't know about like this brand of sketches or classes or magazine or Facebook group or whatever. And you're just like shocked.
Right.
Like they're living out here with no lights. And you're like,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's kind of like what's the thing where there's the two circles and they meet in the middle? Venn
Yeah.
diagram or something like that. I feel like there's the people that are just at home making their stuff. And then there's the people that are just can't get off the internet. And then there's the people in the middle.
Well, so this crop that I go to is very open to anybody who crafts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you said it was like any craft,
so there's
right?
sewing machines, and there's ladies sewing and making amazing things on the sewing machine. There's obviously scrapbookers. There's somebody who puts Legos together. There's diamond painting. There's just all kinds of things. And so I go, and I don't scrapbook because it just is too much to take my film and equipment and everything. So I'll go and plan. And so I can imagine.
How many did you?
I only got 5 done because I did spend a lot of time chatting with.
What is
I know.
wrong with
Five
you?
was
That's like one plan for 2 hours.
Yeah, it was. We were there from 10 to 9. So yeah. But
I'm almost disappointed.
So what I go with is my laptop, my iPad, and my phone. And I'm usually have all 3 screens up because I'm used to having 3 screens at home. And I'm like scrolling through my Google Photos on my phone. I've got sketches up on my iPad, and then I'm typing in my spreadsheet on my computer. And the lady that was like diagonal from me about midway through the day, she was like, "Can you tell me what craft you're doing with an iPad, a phone, and a computer?" So I was like,
this is called type A personality disorder.
So I told her, I was like, "Oh, so I'm a content creator on YouTube, and I'm just planning stuff." And she was like, it really takes that much planning, because I watched this lady who crochets on YouTube, and I never thought about how much planning goes into that little 10-minute video. I was like,
I would have immediately interrupted and been like, no, that's a Lisa thing. That crochet lady is probably just making stuff and then making the content
but I feel
later.
like with crocheting, that's not as intricate as scrapbooking.
I don't know. Have you seen? I mean, this seems pretty.
Oh yes,
intricate.
your little dumpster fire is. He is very cute.
Cute.
Yes, but I feel like if you crochet, I'm sure they have a pattern for it, but it's probably something that they just sit down and.
But somebody has to make the patterns too. Anyways, I would just say that personally, if you're inspired by something that I make, or you scrapple something, even if it's just making stickers or using the journaling die, you dabbled in scene building, send me a message. Tag me. Scream it from a rooftop because I desperately want to see it. Because I'm excited.
And I'll add on that I'm going to repeat it multiple times. It's not about we're trying to police anybody. We want to connect to each other, because at the end of the day, the fact that you found my channel and we became the friends that we are today is because of this content creating that we do and this hobby that we do. And if that means that you're going to go out and find your next crafty bestie, then I say share it and credit them, because you never know what that person might come to be.
Yeah, you don't know what's in their pool of ripples. You don't know. Yeah, that's why I said like there's space for everybody.
Yes.
I just feel like, yeah, find a way to let the person know that you were inspired by them. And then like, so that's how I find like new people to follow is I'll see somebody where they're like, oh, I scrap lifted this person. And I'm like, oh, I don't know who that is. Like, let me go follow the trail back. And you're like, heck yeah, let me subscribe to this because I need some stuff to watch.
Yeah. And you never know where that ripple will take. Maybe your next crafty best friend could come from it.
Okay, but you can't have Lisa. She's I peed on her. She's mine.
Until next time,
go touch paper and tell us about it.
Bye. Okay, bye. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this episode, make sure you follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next.
We're so glad you joined us today, whether you were gluing, cutting, or just avoiding your photo backlog.
Until next time,
pass the scissors.